من شركة ريل استيت 1 بيع وشراء العقارات السكنية والتجارية، يتكلمون العربية والكلدانية. اتصلوا بالعقاري باسل نفسو 586-925-7000 586-925-7000. أعزائي المستمعين، مساء الخير عليكم وأهلا وسهلا بكم في برنامج العقاري باسل نفسو. نرحب طبعا بالأستاذ العقاري باسل نفسو. أهلا وسهلا أستاذ باسل.
Thank you, brother Sahir. We said we're going to do this program in English.
Yes.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, viewers, listeners, however you're listening to us or watching us. I am a realtor with Real Estate One. I'm right here in Troy, Long Lake, and Livernois is close by.
Okay. Welcome, Mr. Mark Giltman.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for having me today. I'm located I work for Caliber Home Loans, and we're located in Rochester. We are a national company. I am licensed everywhere in Michigan.
I will leave the mic with you, Mr. Basil. Yes, thank you, Brother Sahir. Brother Mark here brings an extensive experience in the field of financing. So I'm going to let him express his qualifications, tell us his experience. If you can tell us briefly, Mark, go ahead.
Sure. So I've been in the business. I've been doing mortgages, helping people finance their homes on both purchases and refinances for 30 years. I've worked for a few different companies along the way, but I've picked up a lot of experience previous to being in the mortgage business. I partially owned a company where we wrote and taught financial education programs for Fortune 500 employees, and I have my finance degree from Walsh. I think my finance degree helps me help my clients in getting mortgages, figuring out what's the best route for them, and then helping them get into a house or refinance their current house.
If you just listening to us on the radio, Mark's phone number is area code 248-705-8431. And I'll mention it again in case you need to write it down. Mark, tell us something about the market and why is it fluctuating so much?
So if you've watched the real estate market at all, you know that home prices are still going up. I know a lot of the media says the median sale price has dropped a little bit, but that's not the appreciation. You want to watch for the appreciation. The fact of the matter is that for a lot of different reasons, we just don't have enough homes for sale. There's even at the higher interest rates, there are more buyers than sellers. And as long as there are more buyers than sellers, doesn't matter whether it's houses or bananas, the prices are going to go up. So I think that this is not a problem that's going to get solved anytime soon. We just can't build enough homes to fill that gap. So I think that home values are going to maintain or continue to go up, at least in the near term, next few years for sure. So I still think it's a great time to purchase a home. I know that rates are high. Rates will come down. There's a saying we have, buy the house and date the rate. So you'll have an opportunity down the line when rates drop. We'll look at the numbers together, make sure it's a good fit, but make sure it's give you a chance to refinance to a lower rate and reduce your payment.
I know, Mark, there isn't anything you can't answer based on your extensive experience. So tell us about the interest rate. I know it's high now and it keeps going up and down, but we know historically that we've seen much higher interest rate and nobody said anything about it. So are we spoiled? Have we been spoiled because we had 2-3% interest rate? Where are the priorities here?
Yes, so we have been spoiled. When the rates dropped during the pandemic to the high 2s and 3s, that was artificially driven by the Fed. So the average 30-year fixed rate is really in the mid-7s. So we're not anywhere, we're in the average zone. But because rates were so low, all of us think that rates should be that low, but that was abnormal. I doubt they'll ever get back there again. We expect rates down the line to go down probably in the low fives at some point. But so rates right now are hovering around 7%, depending on your own personal situation. Rates are based on credit score, what you're buying, how much you're putting down. There's a lot of factors that go into that. But I don't want you to be put off by the rate. If you're looking to purchase a home, by waiting for the rates to go down, you're giving up the appreciation of the house, because nationally, we still think houses are going to go up 5 or 6% year over year. And you're giving up that appreciation and that build to the net worth, and you're giving up the little bit that you're adding every month when you make your mortgage payments. So your mortgage principal is dropping, and your net worth, your value of the house is going up. So you're giving that up. So I think that, again, based on your own personal situation and needs, now might be a great time to jump in and look to purchase a home.
Now we always talk about credit scores. I know in our business, we tell everybody, make sure you maintain your good credit, because it takes you a lifetime to build it and overnight to destroy it. Tell us a little bit about that.
So credit is king. So one of the first things we do when we're talking to someone wanting to buy or refinance, we're going to pull a credit report. We want to see what your credit scores are. The credit score, good or bad or indifferent, the credit score tells a lender your propensity or willingness to pay someone back money that you borrowed, because you're going to borrow money, and we want to make sure that you're going to pay it back, or what are the odds that you're going to pay it back. We want to try to reduce that risk as much as possible. Different programs have different minimum credit scores, and then different lenders will have what we call overlays that may actually change that a bit. But it's specific. It's going to be specific to your needs. It's specific to the program you're looking at. You definitely want to make sure your credit scores are as high as possible. If you know that you're going to be buying maybe 6 months, 9 months down the road, it's worth talking to a lender. You can call me and we'll pull your credit and do a deep dive and analysis on your credit and say, okay, this is what I think we need to fix so that your credit scores go up over time. You'll be ready to go when you're ready to buy a house.
So when somebody calls you the first time around, Mark, you'd sit down with them, find out where their credit score is, how much money they're bringing down to the table, what price range they qualify.
So when I first talk to somebody, before I even get the credit or whatever, I want to know what they want to do. What do you want to do? Is this a first home for you? Or is it a move-up home? Do you have a family? What areas do you think you want to live in? And we start talking a little bit about how much they can afford. So I'm never really very interested in how much house you want to buy. If you say to me, I want to buy a $300,000 house, that number is meaningless to me. I need to know how much you can spend per month and still be able to sleep at night. So once I get to that number, you and I will talk about that. Once you give me a number, we're going to back into a mortgage amount. And then once we have the mortgage amount, based on what we think your credit scores are and what the current rate is, then we can also back into a sales price. Now, if that doesn't work for you, then we can move from there. But at some point, so the actual application process is you'll fill out an application, and part of that process is that we're going to get you what's called a mortgage credit report, and we're going to pull scores from all 3 bureaus. And all lenders use that middle score. We don't average them. Whatever that middle score is, that's what we use. So typically, if you've got less than 580 credit score, your options are very limited. So you want to make sure, in reality, you want to try to make sure your credit scores are 620 or better.
What's considered a good score, Mark?
So that's a moving target. So they just changed all the rules in the conventional mortgage world. But typically I tell people, 740 or better is still considered the best scores. Again, that's for conventional. FHA is a little bit more lenient. FHA will go down. Now, this is lender specific, but FHA will typically go down to 620 to 580. Now, the lower the score, all things being equal, the higher the interest rate, and maybe the higher the down payment requirements. So again, it's very specific. If you call me up and say, hey, what's the credit? I'm going to say credit score. I'm going to say, well, I've got about a dozen questions to ask you. And then my last question is going to be, what's your credit score? So, and most people don't really know what their credit score is. When you apply for credit, the mortgage score is going to be different from what the auto financing score is, which is different from the insurance score. So we all use different models. So you have to make sure you're looking at the right score model.
Now, before I ask you the next question, I'm going to say your number here. If somebody wants to call you for anything specific to their case, the number is 248-705-8431. Now, one next question would be first-time home buyers. We know that they've been challenged with not enough down payment, or they have student loans. How kind of programs do you have available to help them? I know we have Mishda, or can you shed some light there?
Sure. So first time, I mean, it's been challenging for first time home buyers. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I mean, when you've got more buyers than sellers, there's a lot of homes sell above list. First time home buyers, we get it. You don't have a lot of extra money to play with. So we do the best we can. We look at your situation. We look at how much you make, how much you spend, including your debt load, what's on the credit report. We look at the student loans, and we figure out, okay, this is what you would qualify for. Does that work? And if it doesn't work, then we try to look at different ways to get to where we need to be. Sometimes we can and sometimes we can't. But it is challenging, and I know that it can be frustrating for a first-time home buyer. But there are programs out there, especially if you're a little light on cash. So Mishda was one of the programs that I use a lot. Mishda is a Michigan State Housing Development Authority, and they have a down payment assistance program. It's statewide. It is a loan of up to $10,000. They put a second mortgage on the house. There's no monthly payment. There's no interest rate, and it gets paid off when the first mortgage gets refinanced or you sell the house. It is not a grant or a gift. It does have to get paid at some point, get paid back to Mishda. But this is a great program. And currently their interest rates are actually less than market rates. They have a no down payment assistance program that today is at 6.25%, which is way lower than market rates. And these can be coupled up with the down payment assistance program will go with an FHA, a conventional, or a rural development, and the no down payment will also add in a VA loan. So you can go zero down on a no down payment at 6.25%, which if you qualify for Mishda, give me a shout. I can run through those qualifications for you. And that number is also my cell phone, so you can text me. If you call or text, let me know that you heard me on the radio. Let me know what your name is, and I'll give you a shout back if I don't answer.
Okay, my next question is, if somebody is credit challenged, meaning they have a low credit score, they want to build it up, anything you can suggest so for them to build their credit score? So
sometimes people know they're credit challenged right off the bat, and sometimes we find out when I pull the credit report. If you're credit challenged and now is not the time that you can buy, I do a deep dive in all the credit reports, and I will review your credit report with you and say, okay, this is what we need to fix. It may take a little while. We'll go through the different items that need to be corrected, whether it's paying down debt or paying off a collection account, and just letting you know how the credit scores work and how the credit reports work, and put a timeline together. So often it might be 6 months. I'll put a calendar note for myself. I'll say, I need you to do this, that, or the other, and I'm going to call you in 6 months to see how you're at. Have you accomplished those goals? Where are we at in 6 months?
Now, somebody calls you, do you offer them free consultation? So free questions?
Yes.
So to speak?
Right. So I get paid when your loan closes. I'm not on
when you buy.
When you buy or refinance. So I'm not on salary. So it's important to me that you actually close. But I talk to a lot of people where they're just not ready. So I will talk to you. I'll review your situation with you. If we decide that now is not the time, again, I'll put a calendar note in and say I'll call you back in 3 or 6 months, whatever fits. And then we can have this conversation again. Not everybody is ready. And I understand that, but.
So you need to be prepared ahead of time. So if you plan to buy a house in January, they should talk to you right now.
Call me now. Yep. Right? Call me now. Let's talk about it.
So you do new loans, you do refinancing, and also home equity.
Right. So we do first mortgage on purchases with a variety of programs: conventional, FHA, VA, rural development. We also have programs that are a little bit outside of the box if you don't quite fit for those. If you're a first-time home, if you're self-employed and your income doesn't work, we can do what's called a bank statement loan. We have special programs for home investors. It just depends on what you need.
Now we know in our business inventory is really low, and the prediction is inventory probably is going to stay low for a few more months. It seems like it, at least till at the end of the year. And that's predictable. So what do you anticipate on your end in terms of maybe seeing more inventory or market getting better in terms of interest rates? I know you can't predict tomorrow, but on a short-term basis. So what do you think?
So with interest rates, we know, so interest rates are based mostly on economic reports that come out almost daily. So the current reports are showing that inflation is slowing, and inflation is the big reason why interest rates go up. So as the inflation rate slows and lowers, we expect rates to start to come down. Now, this probably will happen a little bit later in the year, but we do expect rates to moderate and start to come down. As far as home inventory, that's a tough call. Typically this time of the year, the kids are going back in school. People really don't want to list their homes because their kids have just started school and they don't want to pull them out of the school in the middle of the school year. So, but having said that, I just looked at a report earlier this morning and home sales have not really dropped off too much. So this might be one of those years where the inventory stays somewhat level. I don't think it's going to go up just because of the time of the year, but I don't think it's going to drop too much. That's just my gut feeling.
Well, what I do in my line of business, I look up inventory almost every day. And what I see is low inventory, but at the same time, whatever inventory is coming into the market is being snatched and absorbed very fast. So if you have a second home that you're waiting to sell, it's the time to sell is now, because we don't know what can happen tomorrow.
This is what always you argue people for that.
You can get big money. So
it's time for sale.
You can call me. My number is 586-925-7000. I also offer a free consultation, and I can have you to meet Mark in my office or his office to give you the right advice, and it's free. So you can't beat that. And if somebody wants just to meet me, to introduce themselves to me to see if we can build a relationship, I'm right there close by on Long Lake and Livernois. We're right next to the corner, and I welcome everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Basil, and thank you, Mr. Mark.
My pleasure. Thank you.
مستمعينا الأكارم، كنا مع برنامج العقاري باسل نفسو. طبعا رقم تليفونه هو 586-925-7000، وأيضا كان معنا السيد مارك جلبمان، رقم تليفونه هو 248-705-8431. الحلقة منقولة لايف على صفحة إذاعة صوت الغد، وأيضا على اليوتيوب فيوتشر راديو مشيكن. مستمعينا مشاهدينا، ألتقيكم في الأسبوع القادم وحلقة جديدة إن شاء الله.
Thank you.
إلى اللقاء.
Thank you.